Hello friends, welcome to Mechanical Engineering online classes.
Now let us see what is called as Varignon's theorem, also called as law of moments or simply principle of moments. So Varignon theorem states that the moment of resultant of all the forces in a plane about any point on the plane is equal to the algebraic sum of moment of all the forces about the same point. So what does that mean is, suppose if we are considering coplanar forces, there are many forces acting on this particular plane, on this object. Now if I pick any point, say A, I can find, if this is F1, say F2 is this, F3 is this, F4 is this, then in case the resultant of all these forces is, for example, this is R, the point is A. So according to Varignon's theorem or the principle of moments, it means that the moment of this resultant force about this point A, moment of resultant about A will be equal to the sum of moments of all the individual forces about the same point A. It means moment of F1 about A plus or minus, that depends on the sign convention. If F1 is making, say, clockwise moment, so it is negative for me. So F2 is also making a clockwise moment, so this is again minus. I'll get a minus moment of F2 about A. Then F3 is also making a clockwise moment about A, so that is minus M of F3 about A. Then F4 is making an anti-clockwise moment, so that is plus M F4A. So the sum of all these moments is this one, considering all the individual forces, moments about a particular point. So this will be equal to the moment of the resultant of the forces F1, F2, F3, F4 about the same point A. So this is what principle of moment states. So let us see if it can be proved. Let us see if Varignon theorem can be proved. So let us take a plane. Here I am taking an XY plane. So P and Q are the two forces that are acting through point O. So this is the origin O. So let this be the force P. Let this be the force Q. And R is a resultant of P and Q. Naturally it will pass through O only. This is the resultant. Let R be at angle theta with respect to x-axis. P be at angle theta 1 and Q be at angle theta 2. And let the perpendicular distances from forces R, P and Q be small d1 and small d2 respectively from a point A on x-axis. Let the point be, this is point A. So we are dropping a perpendicular from A onto P. So this perpendicular distance of P to A is said as D1. So this is D1. Then the perpendicular distance from A onto R is taken as D. So this is D. And the perpendicular distance from A onto Q is, from Q onto A is D2. So we are naming this as D2. So now, according to Varignon's theorem, the moment of resultant about any point on the plane. So we have taken A as the point, for example. will be equal to the moment of force P about A plus moment of Q about A. So R is a resultant of P and Q. So this plus is considering the sign convention. We have just discussed that. So here, according to Varignon's theorem, if at all I want to apply Varignon's theorem for these, then the moment of resultant force about the point A will be the force R multiplied by the perpendicular distance of the force from point A, so which is D. So this should be equal to, this will be equal to the moment of force P about A. Moment of force P about A will be force P multiplied by the perpendicular distance of P from A, which is D1. Now I have to use the other force also. So let us see the directions. So P is making a clockwise moment, R is making a clockwise moment, Q is also making a clockwise moment, because P and Q both are making anti-clockwise clockwise moments. R is making a clockwise moment. So this is clockwise, and moment of Q about A is also clockwise. The value is the force Q multiplied by perpendicular distance of Q from the point about which moment has to be taken, which is the perpendicular distance is D2. So this is also in clockwise direction. So they both can be added up. PD1 plus QD2 is equal to R into D. So from the given example, all of them are coming in clockwise direction. So this is what Varignon theorem says. So we have to prove this statement. We have to see if this is really happening. If this is really working, we have to check. So now, as we know that R is a resultant of P and Q. This is R, this is P, this is Q. So if at all I want to say resolve all these forces, R force can be resolved as along X and Y. It will be Rx and Ry. So P force. So P force is this. If at all I am resolving P in X and Y components, it will be Px, Py. So there is a Q force. So this also can be resolved. This is Q, this is Qx, this is Qy. So Py, Qy, Ry, they are all components along y axis. Px, Qx, Rx are components along x axis. So we are just splitting all the three forces, the resolution forces and the resultant force, into xy components. So we know that because R is a resultant of P and Q, so what should it mean? It should mean that the sum of all the forces along y axis should be the y component of resultant. Similarly, sum of all force components along x axis should be equal to the resultant's x component. So this is how we find the Rx and Ry, right? So here it follows that Ry is equal to Py plus Qy. So now because we know the angles made by R, P and Q with respect to x axis, the angle made by P with respect to x axis is theta 1. So if at all I have to split this into components, this will become P sine theta 1. So similarly, when there is a Q here, this is making angle theta 2. So the y component will be Q sine theta 2. And because Py is P sine theta 1 and Qy is Q sine theta 2, we know Ry also. Because R is making angle theta with respect to x axis. If I am splitting Rx and Ry, this will become R sine theta. The y component of R will be R sine theta. So which I can write it here. So therefore R sine theta is equal to P sine theta 1 plus Q sine theta 2. Now let us try to multiply the length OA on both the sides of the equation. So multiply OA on both the sides. Let us see what we get. R into OA sin theta is equal to P into OA sin theta 1 plus Q into OA sin theta 2. What is OA sin theta? From the figure, OA sin theta, this is OA, and sin theta is nothing but opposite by hypotenuse, opposite side by hypotenuse. Now just let us look at this term what OA sin theta is, for which let us look into this triangle. Let me name these points. Let this particular point be, say, B, let this be point C, let this be point D, capital D. So if you look at the triangle O, B and A, there is a right angle here. So here, if at all we are using this O on our line of action of force is point B and this is point A. So this is D and this is OA is this hypotenuse. So sin theta, where theta is this, is equal to opposite side by hypotenuse. The opposite side is D divided by hypotenuse is OA. So therefore OA sin theta is nothing but D. Similarly, let us say with these terms also what OA sin theta 1 is and what OA sin theta 2 is. So therefore, from this figure, let us note down for point on force P. This is O. This is force line of action of force of P. The point is A here. This perpendicular distance is D1. So this angle is theta 1. This point is C. So now here sin theta 1 is equal to opposite by hypotenuse again. So opposite is D1, hypotenuse is OA, because this is 90 degrees, right? So hypotenuse will be the longest is OA. So therefore D1 will be OA sin theta 1. So OA sin theta 1, which is this term, is our D1. Similarly, let us see OA sin theta 2. So this is O, A, and sin theta 2. Theta 2 is for force Q. So let us draw the line of action of force Q. This is at angle theta 2 and the perpendicular distance is this one, which is D2 from the figure. So I have just noted down the right angle triangle ODA, where the right angle is at ODA. This one, this is point D. So here sin theta 2 is equal to opposite, that is D2, by hypotenuse, that is OA. So therefore OA sin theta 2 is equal to D2. So we have found what OA sin theta 2 is, what OA sin theta 1 is, and what OA sin theta is. Now we can substitute these values in this particular equation. R into OA sin theta is equal to P into OA sin theta 1 plus Q into OA sin theta 2. So therefore, because OA sin theta is nothing but D, OA sin theta 1 has come out to be D1 from here, and OA sin theta 2 is D2. So this is D2. So therefore, we can write it as RD is equal to PD1 plus QD2. Therefore, R into D is equal to P into D1 plus Q into D2. This is what the Varignon statement says. R into D is PD1 plus QD2. So this is what it is. RD is equal to PD1 plus QD2. Hence proved. So Varignon's theorem is valid. It's proved. So the major application of Varignon's theorem lies with determining the position of resultant of a parallel force system and for a general force system also. So because when many forces are acting on a system, we know where the forces are acting and how they are acting. Finding the resultant is known to us. Summation of all x components will give the x component of resultant. Sum of all forces on y forces of along y direction will give us the y component of the resultant. So when we have Rx and Ry, we can find R value. Now suppose there is an F acting on a system, then some other, this is F1 say, there is some F2, they are not parallel, this is F3. Now if at all I want to find one resultant, somewhere it is like this, say for example. So straight away I can just, if this is x axis and this is y axis, we will find the x components. This is F1x, F1y. So this is F2x, this is F2y. This is F3x, this is F3y. So sigma Fx will be Rx. Sum of all the forces along x direction will be the x component of resultant. So here what is the sigma Fx? It is F1x. My rightward forces are positive, leftward forces are negative. So F1x is rightward, so it's positive. F2x is leftward, so it is negative. They are in opposite sense. Then F3x is towards right again, so this is positive for me. So this is Rx. So similarly, sum of force components along y-axis will be the y component of the resultant. So this will be F1y, my upward forces are positive and downward forces are negative. If F1y is upward, so it is positive for me. F2y is downward, so it is, because it is in opposite sense, I am negating it, I am subtracting it. So F2y is having a minus sign. Then F3y is also acting downward, so that is also minus. So this is my Ry. In case I want to find the resultant, if I know x component, if I know y component, how are we finding the resultant? This is y. So from this from the Pythagoras principle, we have hypotenuse square is equal to opposite square plus adjacent square, or the hypotenuse is the root over opposite side square plus adjacent side square. So here my x and y components are the opposite and adjacent. The hypotenuse is the resultant. So Rx is this, Ry is this. How do we find the diagonal? R will be root over Rx square plus Ry square. I am finding my Rx and Ry in this particular fashion. Once I have my Rx and Ry, then I have my R. In case we have components along z axis also, then we will find all the components along z axis, we will sum them up, considering the outward forces as positive and inward forces as negative. In case this is the plane, z axis is this, so this is positive z, that side is negative z, this is plus x, this is minus x, this is plus y, this is minus y. This is the convention that we generally use. So we will find sigma fz, this will be our rz. That time the resultant will be root over Rx square plus Ry square plus Rz square. So finding the, because we know Rx, Ry, Rz, we know the directions, we know the magnitude, we know the it's all known to us. But how do we find where exactly the line of action of this resultant force is acting? In order to know the line of action through which point it is acting, the exact location of R must be known, and to know that exact location of R, we use this Varignon's theorem. So P and Q are known, D1, D2 will be known. Now if we can find the resultant as R is equal to root over Rx square plus Ry square or Rz square, or we can find the resultant in any fashion. We found the resultant. So we will find D, thereby we exactly know where R is acting from. How far is it from a particular point? So for that, to find D of the resultant, we use Varignon's theorem. Let us see an example. So let us look at this problem. 5 vertical forces are acting on a horizontal plate. Find the resultant of the forces and the point of application of the resultant with respect to origin. That means we have to find the magnitude, direction, and the line of action of the resultant, meaning the position of the resultant with respect to origin O. So here the coordinate axis x, y, z are shown, and the blue outlined part is the horizontal plate. So there are 5 vertical forces acting, and because all the forces are vertical, so this is an example of a parallel force system, because all the forces are parallel to each other. So let us, all the pink ones are the forces. So let us look at what forces are acting on the system. F1 is a force that is 3 kN acting along y-axis through origin downward. Then F2 is a 5 kN force which is again acting vertically downward through point A, that is on x-axis. Then F3 is another vertically downward acting force that is 6 kN magnitude through point B. Then F4 is a 2 kN force vertically upward through point C. And Fy is 7 kN force which is acting vertically downward through point D, which is on z-axis. The size of the horizontal plate is also given. The size is 6 meter by 5 meter. So point O to A is 6 meter, A to B is 5 meter, B to C is 2 meter along parallel to x-axis, and C to D is again measured parallel to x-axis, which is 4 meter. Then OD is 5 meter. So let us try to solve this problem. We shall do it in 2 ways, one using vector algebra and one without using vector algebra. The first method is we shall use vector algebra. So for which let us note down all the coordinates of the points through which forces are acting. So F1 is acting through origin O, coordinate points are 0, 0, 0. Then F2 is acting through A, the coordinates of A are 6, 0, 0 from the figure. Then coordinates of B, so its x coordinate is 6, y coordinate is 0, z coordinate is 5. Point C, x is 4, y is 0 and z is 5. Then point D, so these are the 5 points through which the forces are acting: O, A, B, C and D. So while using vector algebra, let us first see how a vector can be written. A vector, if F is a force vector, then it can be written as Fx I cap plus Fy j cap plus Fz k cap. So this Fx, Fy, Fz are the components of F along this axis. So this is the y component of F along y axis. Similarly, Fx is the x component of F along x axis, whereas I cap, j cap, k cap, these are the unit vectors along x, y, z axis respectively. So I is the unit vector along x axis, j is the unit vector along y axis and k is the unit vector along z axis. So from the figure we have F1, F2, F3, F4 and F5. So let us see how F1 can be written in vector form. F1 is a force acting vertical. Every force here in this particular case are vertical forces. So our convention is that upward forces are positive and downward forces are negative. So from the question, F1 is a downward force which is 3 kilonewton, that is magnitude. So F1 can be written as, it's for a vertical force which is along y-axis, its x and z components will be 0. So I can write it as 0 I cap, and because the magnitude of F1 is 3 kilonewton downward, so I'm writing it as minus 3 j cap plus 0 k cap, or in simple terms I'll straight away write F1 is equal to minus 3 j cap. This is the vector form of F1 force. Similarly, F2 force is also vertically downward force. So this 5 kilonewton force is along y-axis, so it is having only y component. Its x and z components are zeros. So therefore F2 can be written as minus 5j, and F3 is also vertically downward force, so it can be written as minus 6j. F4 vector is a vertically upward force, so it is 2j, and F5 is a vertically downward force whose magnitude is 7 kilonewtons, 7 kilos, so F5 is minus 7j. Now we have taken down all the forces in its vector form. So we know that moment of a force about any point in vector form can be written as the position vector multiplied by the force vector. Now because we have to find the position vectors of all these points O, A, B, C and D. So let us see why vector cross product is used. So before that we have to see what vector cross product is. Suppose there are two vectors A and B that are at angle theta. Then A cross B will give a third vector C that will satisfy three conditions. The three conditions are, first condition is that the line of action of this C, which is a cross product of A and B, will be perpendicular to the plane containing A and B. The second condition is that the magnitude of C can be given as AB sin theta when theta is between 0 and 180 degrees. And the third condition is that the direction of C will be the direction in which a right hand screw will advance as A is turned towards B. So as A turns towards B, so if we are curling our fingers are curled like this, so our thumb will be here. So if as A is turning towards B, then the direction of C will be in the direction of thumb, upward. So direction of C is the direction of a right hand screw will advance as A is turned towards B. So we shall see how we can bring an analogy between A cross B to find the moment. Moment T is a perpendicular distance into force, we know that. So but in case suppose there is some force F acting say through point A and a point B here. This F is a force vector acting through these 2 points. Now if I want to find say the shortest distance, because moment is the perpendicular distance multiplied by force, so perpendicular distance will be the shortest distance only. This will be all other lines drawn from O on to AB will be longer ones only compared to this line. So let the shortest distance be D. So this perpendicular distance should be D into F. So if at all we are using vectors, so let us say that the position vector of B with respect to O is say R, if this is theta, and the position vector of A with respect to O is say okay P, or if this is R1, this is R2, this angle is say phi. Now here the shortest distance D can be taken from theta and R1 or R, so that will be R sin theta. When I am using say this point is say C, from the triangle OCB D is R sin theta, or from the triangle OCA D can be written as P sin phi. So either ways, here if at all I want to use this, D is nothing but R sin theta into F, or RF sin theta. So this is moment. I can bring an analogy between this definition to the moment definition. So here, because the position vector R is also a vector and the force is also a vector, the magnitude of the moment is similar to AB sin theta, where A and B were vectors. So A cross B is AB sin theta. So here R and F is in the same form as that of the definition of vector cross product. It is like R F sin theta, where R and F are also vectors. So this is coming out to be the moment, which is RF sin theta. So this can be written as R cross F, and we have to note that R cross F is not equal to F cross R, because by the properties of vectors we know that if A and B are two vectors, A cross B is equal to minus B cross A. So what will happen here is, if we take F cross R, we will get moment in opposite direction. So moment is R cross F. So this is used. Let us try to find the moment of, coming back to problem, force 1. It can be written as the position vector of that first force multiplied by F1 force, can be written as R1 cross F1. So let us find the position vectors of all the points. R1 is the position vector from origin onto the line of action of force F1, because F1 is passing through origin. The position vector R1 will be 0. R2 position vector is from O to A, from origin onto the point through which F2 is acting. So this will be, the position vector is found as between say point A to B. If point B is say XB, YB, ZB, and point A is XA, YA, ZA, the position vector from A to B will be XB minus XA I plus YB minus YA J plus ZB minus ZA K. So when it comes to R2, the position vector is between O and A. So A coordinate is known to us 6 0 0. So it is 6 minus 0 is 6I plus 0 minus 0 into j plus 0 minus 0 k, or simply 6I. This is R2. So R3 is between O and B. This coordinate B is 6 0 5. This O is 0 0 0. So 6 minus the 0 is 6I plus the 0 minus 0 is 0j plus 5 minus this 0 will be plus 5k, or simply 6I plus 5k. So R4 is the position vector between O and C of point C with respect to origin. So point C is 4 0 5. So this will be 4I plus 0j plus 5k, or simply 4I plus 5k. R5 is the position vector of D with respect to O. So this coordinate of D is 0 0 5. So its x coordinate minus origin's x coordinate is 0 I plus y coordinate of D minus y coordinate of origin is 0j plus z coordinate of D minus z coordinate of origin is 5k. So this is 5k. So we have all the force vectors and all the position vectors. Now we can find the moment of the first moment. First moment is the, let m1 be the moment of force F1 about origin. So it will be R1 cross F1. So before I substitute any value here, C is equal to A cross B. So if A is AXI plus AYJ plus AZK and B is BXI plus BYJ plus BZK, then A cross B is given as a determinant of IJ K AX AY AZ BX BY BZ. So here we know R1, we know F1. I hope you know the formula of a determinant. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. You can find the determinant as, I'm picking this A into E, I minus F, H minus B into D, I minus G, F plus C into D, H minus E, G. So you can take any row or any column and follow the same pattern. R1 is 0I plus 0J plus 0K. F1 was the minus 3 kilonewton force downward. So that is minus 3J. So it is 0I minus 3J plus 0K. So we can find M1, which is R1 cross F1, as det IJK 0 0 0 0 minus 3 0. Because one entire row is 0, its determinant is also 0. So similarly, let us find the moment of F2 about origin. So it is, let that be M2. So it is R2 cross F2. So IJK R2 is 6I So 6 under I it is 6. It's a j coefficient of R2 is 0, k coefficient of R2 is 0, and F2 will be minus 5j. Yeah, so it is 0 minus 5 0. So on finding the determinant, we can get I into 0 is 0, minus 0 into minus 5 is 0, minus j into 6 into 0 minus 0 into 0, plus k into 6 into minus 5 minus 0 into 0. So this is 0 minus 0 plus k into minus 30. This is minus 30k. This is M2. Similarly, let M3 be the moment of force F3 about origin. We have I, J, K. R3 is 6i plus 6i plus 0j plus 5k. 6, 0, 5. And F3 is minus 6j. This is minus 6, this is 0 and 0. So I'm using the third row, 0 into 5j minus 0k. Then minus of minus 6, this one, into I into 5, 5i, minus 6 into k, this one, plus, now this 0 into I into 0 minus 6 into j. So 0 into anything is 0. So this is all 0. This is also totally 0. Minus of minus 6, 6 plus 6. So it is 6 into 5, that is 30i. And this plus 6 into minus 6 is minus 36k. So this is M3. Similarly, let us find the moment of fourth force F4 as R4 cross F4. So R4 is 405. And F4 is plus 2 here. So on solving this, we get this as minus 10i plus 8k. And let M5 be the moment of F5 with respect to origin. Then this is 0, 0, 5, 0 minus 7, 0. So this can be written as, this can be taken as, minus of minus 7 is plus 7 into 5i minus 0k. So this is 35i. Now we have all the moments M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5, and we also know that the total moments, let the total moment be just a sigma of all the moments about origin. So this will be M1 plus M2 plus M3 plus M4 plus M5. I am not worrying about whether it is clockwise and anti-clockwise, because when we found M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5 and so on, the coefficient of I, J, K if it is positive or negative, that positive and negative things are taken care in the very value of the moment. Here it is minus 30k, so you are already getting the sign convention need not be applied, because already we are getting along with the sign. The answers are along with the signs. So this is minus 10i, this is plus 8k. So you don't have to worry about whether m1 is in clockwise direction or m2 is in anti-clockwise direction. Should we sum them up or should we subtract them? We don't have to worry about them. Just write down all the m1, m2, m3 here. m1 is 0. 0 means this is 0, whether it is 0 for all I, j and k. And m2 is minus 30k. See here, this even we have just added, right, but the sign is already taken care. So now m3 should be added. m3 is 30i minus 36k, so it is 30i minus 36k. So m4 is minus 10i plus 8k, and m5 is plus 35i. So let us club all the i's, j's and k's together. We have 30i minus 10i is 20i. 20i plus 35i is 55i. Now there are no j terms. We have only I and k. We don't have j term because all the forces are along y-axis, along the j only. So that's why we will get about in terms of I and k. That is, the moments are happening in xz plane. So that's why we have values like this. So here it is minus 30k minus 36. Minus 30 minus 36 is minus 66 plus 8. Minus 66 plus 8 will be minus 58k. Because all the forces are given in kilonewtons. This is kilonewton and all the dimensions are in meter. The units of this moment are kilonewton meter. So now our objective is to find the resultant. How do we find the resultant? We are finding the resultant vector. So just like how we have added all the moments to find the final moment, here we are adding all the forces. Here also we don't have to worry about whether I should add F1 and F2 or not. I don't have to check with the sign, because when we are writing the vector form only, we have decided upward forces as positive and downward forces as negative, and considering that sign convention only, we have noted down the values of F's considering the directions. We have minus for downward forces, we have a plus for upward forces. So direction is already taken care. So if we blindly add them up, it's okay, it's enough now. So minus 3j minus minus 5j minus 6j plus 2j minus 7j will be the resultant. Minus 6j, this is plus 2j, this is minus 7j. So this comes out to be minus 19j. So this is the resultant. So now we have to find the result. We have to find the resultant and the point of application with respect to origin. So half of the part is over. We have found the resultant. We have to find the point through which this resultant is acting with respect to origin. So let the point through which, if this is a horizontal plate, let there be some point P here. This is x-axis, this is z-axis, this is the y-axis. This point P also will be on xz plane. So let the coordinates of the point through which R is passing through is, say its x coordinate is x, y is 0 and z coordinate may be z. Suppose this is the x and this is z. This is origin. So moment of the resultant can be found as R cross the resultant force. This R is the position vector of P with respect to origin. So because P is x0 z and origin is 0 0 0, we can find it as R is R will be x minus 0, R OPX will be x minus 0, which is x, 0 minus 0 is 0, and this is xi 0j plus zk. So this is z. Now what is R? We know the value of R. It is 0i minus 19j plus 0k. So this is 0 minus 19 and 0. If we find the determinant of this, we will get values in terms of x and z. So I am going to use the third row because two terms will get nullified from the formula. This is the formula, right? So I want to use that particular row where most of these terms get 0. So if I am using the third row, so I am having 0 into jz minus 0k. Minus of minus 19 is plus 19. Iz minus xk plus 0 into this determinant, 0i minus xj. Okay, this becomes 0, this becomes 0, then moment of the resultant is, this is 19 z I minus 19 x k. So I am writing according to I j k for in that pattern only. So this is the moment of the resultant. But we know that by Varignon's theorem, sum of moments of all the forces about a particular point will be equal to the moment of the resultant about that particular point. This is about only, and all our m1, m2, m3, m4, they are all also with respect to O only. So we know that by Varignon's theorem, this is the statement: sum of moments of all the forces about a point will be equal to the moment of the resultant about that point. So this particular portion is already found out. We already found sigma MO, and we got the answer as 55i minus 58k. So this is 55i minus 58k. So this will be equal to what is got from the moment of resultant, which is 19zi minus 19xk. So from this it is very clear that the I coefficient here should be equal to the I coefficient here. So 19z should be equal to 55 and z should be equal to 55 by 19. Similarly, this minus 58 should be equal to this 19 minus 19x minus 19x, and so x is 58 by 19. So from here if you calculate, this becomes 2.89 meter and x is 3.05 meter. So the point P through which the resultant is acting with respect to origin is 3.05, 0, 2.89. All the dimensions are in meters. So this is the solution. We have found the resultant. The resultant value is minus 19j, which is nothing but 19 kilonewton acting vertically downward. So here this is 19 kilonewton vertically downward, and this particular position is 3.050, 2.89. So this is the answer to the given question. Without using vector algebra, let us now try to solve the given problem. method 2 without using vector algebra. So when we are saying without using vector algebra, we don't use those unit vectors, we don't have to use them. But because we know all the forces are vertically downward, so to us vertically downward forces are negative and vertically upward forces are positive. This is positive y, this is negative y. So resultant can be found. Here I have to consider the direction or sense of the force, because we are not writing it in vector form. In vector form, when we wrote F1, we wrote it as minus 3j. So there, while clubbing them, already the minus 3 is taken care. But here we are not writing like that, right? So we have to be careful with this. So F1, F2, F3, F4 and F5 are these. So F1 is acting downward, it is minus 3. F2 is also downward, so it is minus 5. F3 is also downward, so minus 6. F4 is upward, so it is plus 2. F5 is downward, it is minus 7. So this will be minus 19 kilonewton or 19 kilonewton vertically downward force. So this is the resultant. The resultant is already, we have straight away found the resultant. Now the next step is, let us assume that point through which this resultant is acting is somewhere here. Let this point be P, whose coordinates are x, 0 and z. So that means this dimension is x, because this is x axis, and this dimension is z from origin, because this is z axis. Let us take moments of all these forces about, say, x axis and apply Varignon's theorem. So what does that mean is, I am finding the moment of all the forces about x axis and I am equating that to the moment of the resultant force about x axis. So the resultant is somewhere here acting downward. So moment of this r with respect to x axis will be like this. And what is the perpendicular distance between r and x axis? The perpendicular distance between r and x axis is this one, which is z. So moment of all the sum of moment of all the forces about x axis will be the resultant force into the perpendicular distance of resultant from x axis, which is z. So it is rz. So now let us find the sum of moment of all the forces about x axis. So let us now find the LHS part, which is the sum of moments of all the forces. So now I am not worrying about whether in finding the senses of these forces, I will the moments of the sense of these forces about x axis, I will consider the sense of force. So that will be enough. Moment is having a direction only because the force is having a direction. So if I am considering the sign convention for forces, then the sign convention is true for the moment also. So here let us find the moment of F1 about x axis, because F1 is passing through x axis, perpendicular distance from F1 to x axis is 0. So the force is F1 into perpendicular distance. F1 is minus 3. So I am considering the sign convention for the force already. So I don't have to worry about the sign convention for the moment. This sign is taking care of the sign convention of moment. So perpendicular distance of F1 to x axis is, because F1 is passing through x axis, F1 to x axis distance is 0. Similarly, F2 is also passing through x axis only. So it is minus 5 into 0. Then this is F3. F3 is minus 6. And the perpendicular distance between F3 to x axis is the perpendicular distance is along z axis, which is 5, plus F4, this is acting vertically up, so the force is positive 2 multiplied by the perpendicular distance, which is again along z axis, that is 5. Then plus F5 is minus 7 into its perpendicular distance from x axis is 5. So this is all LHS, sigma mx. So this should be equal to R into Z. R is nothing but minus 19 and perpendicular distance of R to x axis Z. So if we are if we are solving this, this is 0, this is 0. So we have minus 30 plus 10 minus 35 is equal to minus 19z, or this comes out to be minus 65 plus 10, it is minus 55 is equal to minus 19z, or z is equal to 55 by 19. The same thing we have got in our method 1 also. Z has got to be 55 by 19, which is 2.89 meter. So this value we got. So to get the value of z, z is a perpendicular distance from x axis. So to get the coordinate z, we have taken moments of all the forces about x axis, because from x axis perpendicular distance is z. Now we can find in a similar fashion all the moments about z axis, so we get x. So taking moments of all the forces about z axis and applying Varignon's theorem, we have sigma mz, this is sum of all forces about z axis, that is equal to resultant force multiplied by the moment of resultant about z axis, which is r, multiplied by the perpendicular distance here for r with respect to z is this dimension. This dimension is parallel to x axis, which is equal to x. So it will be r into x. So if we are taking moment about z axis, we get x coordinate. When we are taking moment about x axis, we are getting z coordinate. So here we shall find the sum of moments of all the forces about z axis. About z axis means, so let us see the LHS side. Because F1 is through origin, I can say that it is passing through x axis, on y axis and z axis also. So perpendicular distance of this F1 with respect to z axis is 0, because it is through origin, it is along y axis, it is touching z axis already. So perpendicular distance of this 3 kilonewton force with respect to z axis is 0. So the force is minus 3 and the perpendicular distance is 0. So this is F1, this is its perpendicular distance, plus, let us see with the F2 force. F2 force is minus 5 and the perpendicular distance of F2 with respect to z axis is nothing but the dimension along x axis, which is this 4 plus this 2, which is 6. This point A from z axis is at 6 meter distance. So that is this is F2, this is OA. Now plus F3 is minus 6 multiplied by, again B is also 6 meter away from z axis, so this is 6. Then plus F4 is 2 and it is at 4 meter distance from z axis, this is 4, and plus F5 is passing through z axis, so its distance from z axis is 0. So all this is the LHS side, which is nothing but R into X. R is again 19 kilonewtons multiplied by the distance is X. So from Z axis R is at X distance. So let us solve this. This becomes 0. This also is 0. So this is minus 30. The second term became minus 30. This is minus 36. Plus this is 8. This is equal to minus 19x. Or this is minus 66 plus 8 is minus 58, which is minus 19x. Or x is equal to 58 by 19. We got the same value from the method 1 also, which is nothing but 3.05 meter. So therefore we have found the resultant as 19 kilonewton downward force. So when we are showing this direction, we don't have to use that negative symbol. Negative symbol is when you don't use this. So it is 19 kilonewton downward, and the position or the location of this with respect to origin is at 3.050 and 2.89. These are the coordinates of point through which resultant is acting. Hence solved. So if we want to sum up all the steps involved in this, let us see the procedure for a general problem. So using vector algebra, we have to find all the coordinates through which the forces are acting. Then we will be finding all the force vectors as Fi cap, Fj cap and Fk cap. Then we have to find all the position vectors. Then we have to find all the moment vectors as r cross f. Then we will be finding the resultant by adding up all the force vectors. Then once the resultant is found, we have to find the sum of all moments of forces. In case if there are any couples, that also should be added up. Then once the sum of moments of all the forces are added, then we have to find the moment of resultant force about origin. And applying the principle of moments, that is a Varignon's theorem, we have to equate these two things and the unknowns, that is this position vector can be known, the point P which through which R is acting. So the same procedure is used in our method 1 to solve the problem just now. Now the procedure without vector algebra. So we are talking about this procedure for a general force system. We have solved an example of parallel force system, but we are doing it for a general force system. So without vector algebra, we have to find all the coordinates, meaning that we have to find the distances of all the points with respect to origin. Then we have to resolve all the forces into components Fx, Fy and Fz. Then we have to find the resultant as root over Rx square plus Ry square and Rz square, where Rx is the sum of all the forces x components. Sigma Fx will be Rx. So sum of all the y components of forces will be the y component of the resultant Ry. So sigma Fy will be Ry. Then if Fz is a z component of a force, so we have to add up all the z components of forces considering the sign convention. Then if we sum them up, we will get the z component of the resultant. So once we get the x, y and z components of the resultant, the final resultant magnitude can be found as r is equal to root over rx square plus ry square plus rz square. Now we can find in case of a general force system, the resultant need not be always horizontal or vertical. It need not be along one axis. So we can find the angle produced by it as theta is equal to tan inverse of sigma Fy by sigma Fx. So here we will get the angle the resultant makes with respect to x-axis. Now to find the position or the location of the resultant, we will again use the same approach. We will find the sum of all the moments of forces in the system with respect to an origin. If at all the question is with respect to origin, we will find like that. If at all some other point is asked, we will find with respect to that only. So in that case, it is better that we find all the dimensions and distances here, or find all the coordinates, that are distances of points through which forces are acting with respect to that point about which we have to find the resultant also. So that will help. Then once we find all the forces moments, if at all there are any couples that are acting, considering the sense of it, if anti-clockwise is positive, the anti-clockwise direction couple is also positive, other things are negative. So in such manner we will find the sum of moment of all the forces as sigma mo, all the moments of all the points about point O or any other point that is asked in the question. Then using Varignon's theorem to find the location of R, we will equate the sum of moment of all the forces to the resultant multiplied by the perpendicular distance of this resultant with respect to that particular point. Suppose this is some object, this is some resultant. So suppose this is origin. So this might be the perpendicular distance. This might be D. So we can find like this, or otherwise just like how we have done in the previous problem method 2. So we can split this R, we have this R as Rx and Ry. So if x axis is this and y axis is this, say, so if the resultant is passing through point P, which is x and y, say, so this is origin. If this is origin, then this distance is x and this distance is y, say, for example. So if at all we are using this sigma fy, if we are using the sum of all y components, this is nothing but ry. So the ry component will be perpendicular to x axis. The perpendicular distance will be x. So from ry component, for ry component the perpendicular distance will be x. For rx component it will be y. In the previous problem we have used the same thing. So because this is x and z that are perpendicular to each other, here we have only r in one direction. So z it is the y component of r. Y component of r itself is r. So because y component is perpendicular to x axis, y axis is perpendicular to both x and y. So when we took moment about x axis, the perpendicular distance was along z. So when we took moment along z axis, the perpendicular distance was x. So similarly, when we are using xy planes also, xy plane, ry will have its perpendicular distance as x and rx will have its perpendicular distance y. So this is a procedure of a general force system with and without vector algebra.
Thanks for watching. If this video was of help to you, please like it and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.